Hello, beautiful people. Today is 7th of April, and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Charles Evan Hughes, who happens to be Chief Justice of Supreme Court of United States, has said, "When we lose the right to be different, we lose the privilege to be free." Guys, this particular quote was cited by the Supreme Court of India in Navtej Singh Johar case, in which Section 377 was decriminalized. Guys, this statement shows the relevance of diversity, which could be on the lines of religion, custom, or could even be on the lifestyle patterns of a particular person. Now, these diversities are one which makes us the realization of freedom. So, they should be preserved at any cost. So guys, let's begin with today's discussion. Friends, I would like to make an announcement. By today night, we will be bringing the video on the geographical locations which were in the Hindu for the last 1 year. Please see that video, as every year 3-4 questions are coming on mapping, and the time that you will be giving on video will obviously be cost effective for your exam. Guys, this is the first page of the Hindu newspaper, and the first news item will take is that government has decided to suspend MP lad scheme. Moreover, salary cut has also been made for MPs. So guys, recently Prime Minister and Cabinet has approved an ordinance which will amend the salaries, allowance and pension of MP Act 1954, and by this particular move all the MPs will face a cut in 30% of their salaries. Now guys, as we are talking about ordinance, then it is a legislative move which is made when parliament is not in session. So under article number 123, an ordinance will be promulgated by the President of India, but President has to seek recommendation and advice from the Council of Minister, which is headed by the Prime Minister. Why? Because that particular thing has been stated into the article number 74 of the Constitution. Now, as we see the series, now what has happened? The Cabinet has approved the ordinance. Now the ordinance will be recommended by the Prime Minister plus Council of Minister to the President, and President under article number 123 will promulgate the ordinance and the salaries will be cut by 30%. Guys, this was one thing. Second thing is that government has also decided to cut the MP lads scheme. Now, what is this MP lads scheme? So the scheme was started in the year 1993. Guys, as of now, the scheme is implemented by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now, as a part of this scheme, a non-lapsable fund of rupees 500 crore is given to MPs so that MP can spend this fund at their own discretion to take the developmental needs into their constituency. They can take the projects such as sanitation, community asset building, all these kind of things could be taken. Guys, by the virtue of this particular scheme, a flexibility in spending is being given to the legislators, because for every expenditure specific allocations can't come handy at all the times. Now, when we see the MP LAT scheme, all the MPs of Lok Sabha has to spend the money into their constituency. Rajya Sabha MPs can spend money in any one or more districts from the state from where they have been elected, and the nominated MPs of both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha can spend money in any one or more districts in any one state. Okay guys, so this is the expenditure pattern. Now the money is not actually spent by the MPs, rather the work where the money should be spent is recommended by the MP, and then the district administration spends that money. So now guys, this 5 crore rupee funding that was given every year has been suspended for the period of 2 years. Now it is being suggested that by doing these two things, a lot of money will be coming by which we can fight with the epidemic of COVID-19. Now guys, the move is not only for financial prudence, but rather it is also symbolic. If we analyze the move, then the MPs, they have taken the salary cut positively, but they had shown their displeasure against the absence or against the discontinuation of the MP LAT scheme. Why? Because the states are alleging that they now have to primarily depend on to the state disaster response mitigation fund, and in this fund the money is given by the National Disaster Response Mitigation Fund if ever money falls short here. Now guys, under this particular fund, the money is being given to all the states, but the money is being alleged that it is very less. For example, the state of Kerala has said that they had seen a large number of cases, but the money that has been given is highly disproportionate. So they said that in that particular case, they might resort to the MP Lads fund and can ramp up the health infrastructure, but now they will not be able to do this thing. Guys, when we are talking about the SDRF, then the SDRF allocation is calculated on major factors such as the expenditure that is incurred by the state on disaster, the area, the population, risk profile of individual states, and on that basis, finally money is given to the SDRF. Now guys, when we are talking about the SDRMF corpus, the center contributes 75% of the money and rest 25% of the money is to be arranged by the states, and this ratio is 90:10 for the Himalayan states as well as for the northeastern states. Guys, the grounds which on whose basis the money will be given will be decided by the Finance Commission, and these grounds now has been updated by the 15th Finance Commission. Guys, please remember for your GS paper 2 governance, MP LAD scheme historically had received a mixed response. For example, National Commission to Review the Working of Constitution recommended that it should be discontinued immediately. Moreover, second ARC on ethics in governance also recommended that this scheme should be discontinued. Why they are saying? Because here they say that what is happening, legislator is being given the power of executive. By giving him the money to execute fund, separation of power is being breached here. But then the Supreme Court had ruled that MP LAD fund is not breaching it because MPs only have the recommendatory role, but actual work is carried by the panchayats and municipalities. So please remember this for your mains examination also. Now we'll move to the next item. Guys, in the next news item, it has been stated that the government is taking a consultation with ministers and chief ministers to see how a exit can be taken from the lockdown. Now guys, what could be important with respect to UPSC here? Friends, it could be an example of consultative policy design as government is consulting the ministers as well as other stakeholders. Moreover, it can also be used as an example of cooperative federalism because government has consulted the chief ministers of the other states in order to see a calibrated approach. Now there have been certain issues. First of all, the lockdown had brought huge economic cost, and according to certain estimates, 4% of India's GDP had been shaved from this 21-day lockdown. Now how to recover this economic cost? Otherwise, India might go into a recession, and IMF had even declared that world is slated towards the recession, which will be even worse than the global financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. How to avoid this particular thing? Second is now supply chain has been broken and even a lot of essential items are now going into the shortfall. So this supply chain has to be made perfect so that people don't face further miseries. Moreover guys, now the harvest season for Rabi crop is around the corner, and as we know that 60% of India's population is dependent on agriculture, and in order to ensure the food security of India, the harvest should be made into the time, otherwise there could be other kind of cost. Third, the fourth problem is that all these things are needed to be done, but at the same time there should be no compromise on to the COVID-19. But guys, when all these three things will be done, people have to come out of their houses and social distancing cannot be maintained. So in this particular thing, a kind of a gradual and smart approach is needed. So a consultation is going on that how that thing could be made. Friends, in all this consultation, a very good suggestion has been made. That is the suggestion for truck aggregators. Now, as we know that transport has been broken, so farmers might face the problem of less transportation via trucks. So government is saying that on the lines of cab aggregators, we can explore this thing so that farmers get the service of cheap transport. Though there are truck aggregators in India, but they are not very popular. So this is high time that this concept should also be explored. Now we'll move to the next item. Guys, we had already seen in 5th of April newspaper the demographic profile of India in COVID-19 is little bit different than the rest of the world because more younger people are getting infected here in India. This was all which was given into this article, but as per my analysis, the trend cannot be ascertained on very solid grounds because the testing has been very less into India. So, in order to make a concrete conclusion, we need to go for more testing. In that direction, both the types of test, that is RT-PCR test and antibody test, should be done at war footing. Now, for both these tests, if you want, you can refer to 5th of April. Now, we'll move to the next news item. Guys, already we had less number of tiger and one tiger has died in Page Tiger Reserve. Now it is raising concerns that it might have died of COVID-19, though it is not sure, but there is a speculation. Guys, I had also clubbed a similar item from page number 5 and the continuation of this article from page number 8 along with page number 12. Now, why such a speculation? It is because a tiger has been died in Bronx Zoo in New York because of COVID-19. Though it is not clear that how tiger got infected, but there is a guess that the zoo caretakers might have carried the virus to the tiger when he was asymptomatic. So as a precaution, it has been advised into the US that the caretakers should go to the animals while wearing the protective gears. Now, this thing had its implication in India also, and the Page tiger which had died, its viscera samples have been collected and further investigation protocol is under process. Guys, at this particular time, Environment Ministry had issued a strict protocol to the National Tiger Conservation Authority as to make sure that this particular thing doesn't happen in India. Now, there are two authorities. One is NTCA and other is a Central Zoo Authority who have been particularly made much more cautious. Now friends, with respect to tiger, there are 6 species of tiger in the world, out of which India has Bengal tiger, and on the IUCN it has the status of endangered. Guys, to preserve the tigers in India, the government has started the Project Tiger in 1973, and the Project Tiger is administered by the National Tiger Conservation Authority. In order to make the conservation of tiger more effective, tiger reserves have been established throughout India, and according to the website of projecttiger.nic, there are 50 tiger reserves at present in India. Now, moreover, NTCA also runs a famous program, that is M Stripes. So it is a monitoring program under which tigers are monitored throughout their habitats. This particular thing has also been asked into the UPSC exam. Now guys, along with NTCA, Central Zoo Authority has also been made cautious in order to take adequate safeguards with respect to tigers. This is a particular body which oversees the functioning of zoos in India, and it has been established under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, which was amended in 1991 to make a Central Zoo Authority. So CZA is a statutory body and it is regulated under the National Zoo Policy of 1992. Now guys, as Central Zoo Authority is sending an advisory to all the zoological parks as well as to the zoos, it had been found that the Zoological Authority of Karnataka and prominent zoos have already taken the precautions such as thermal testing of the staff and giving them adequate safety gears and even giving them advisory to take care of their family members. So this is actually a very good example which shows ecological sensibility. Guys, before moving to the next item, you can see certain important facts with respect to Page Tiger Reserve. First of all, we commonly understand that it is in MP, but no, it is in 2 states, MP and Maharashtra. And Page River flows from this particular tiger reserve, on which Meghdut Dam has been formed, and the Page River originates from the Mahadev Hills, which lies into the Satpura range. Now guys, we'll move to the next item. Now guys, after page number 1, there is no relevant news item on page number 2. Now, on page number 3, there has been a news that lab experiments with drive-through testing has been started in Delhi. Yesterday, we had discussed this particular issue in detail, that now India is following the line of South Korea, where more and more number of testing is done in order to ascertain the community transmission of stage number 3. So here more convenience is marked, where a person can go to a drive-through lane, there he could get tested and is not needed to leave his car. This particular thing will dispel the apprehension to call the health personnel to their home or to visit to a particular hospital. So this is a notable initiative. We had already discussed this earlier. Now guys, after this we will move to the editorial section of the Hindu. Guys, this article explores as what could be the threats to democracy and democratic rights during a crisis such as epidemic. Now friends, history is a testimonial that when bad times comes, people rise and they gain more and more powers. You can take the example of Napoleon. You can take the example of disintegration during the time of empires when feudal lords became more powerful. So the crisis is a time for opportunism also, and the draconian laws are made during the time of crisis. For example, if we see the episode of 1897, then the Epidemic Disease Act was formed, which is now being implemented. Now this particular legislation was enacted to fight the plague into the of Bombay, and state became so disgruntled that it simply forgot all the human rights. They entered into the houses, disregarded all the customs, all the taboos. The people were treated just like animals, and at that particular time when Tilak was criticizing the government, he was arrested, and because of this particular high-handedness, even the Chepkar brothers, that is Damodar and Balkrishna Chepkar, they murdered the plague commissioner of Pune, Rand, and another British official, that is Irest. Guys, the editorial asks a question that isn't that the similar things are happening now? First of all, migrant workers are struck, they are facing the crisis at all possible fronts. Secondly, no adequate relief has been given to the people. Moreover, high-handedness of police and the brutalities have been exposed. Then, government had recently approached the Supreme Court, whereby they have asked that the media should be censored because media is spreading a kind of a panic. But isn't really the media is one who empowers the people by giving them the voice? But now this thing is simply being forgotten. Moreover, when the migrant workers reached back to their home, chemicals have been sprayed on them, and it has just shown that no human utility is being attached to them. Now a question could be asked, that is it an overreach which state is doing? For that particular thing, I from my side would like to give you certain concept here. See friends, modern state system is the result of a social contract. Now the social contract theory has been given and been perfected by a lot of thinkers such as Hobbes, Rousseau and Locke. According to the social contract theory, the citizen, they gave their rights and natural freedom to the state, and in return state gives them the right and the protection. So there is a kind of a trade-off between the two parties, that is citizen and the state. So state is a guarantor of their rights and of their freedom. But what happens during the pandemic, authoritarian leaders, they gain power and they gave disregard to the human rights. Now the entire relevance or the entire concept on whose the state was formed is forgotten. Now the people are not the equal contenders into this relationship. Only state is powerful. And isn't this happening during the time of COVID? Not in India, but throughout all the democracies. And even people have forgotten to ask about their rights. Guys, recently even human rights experts have made an appeal to all the democracies and to all the leaders that in the name of pandemic, authoritarianism should not be adopted. However, the regard has been not seen. For example, in Israel, the Prime Minister Netanyahu had dissolved the parliament, that is Knesset, and had postponed his own trial in which he was charged of corruption. And the similar things are happening in Hungary, Philippines and Chile. The Prime Minister of Hungary, he had become a kind of a dictator and is ruling by decrees, and the separation of powers have been forgotten. At the same time, the President of Philippines had got extensive power through the emergency power provisions, and the Chile had declared a state of catastrophe by which all the human rights have been repressed. Now friends, these type of things are happening throughout the country and pandemic is being used as an excuse to gain these authoritarian power. But this kind of setup is nowhere allowed, because as a part of social contract, both the citizen and state are equal partner and no one can be above than the other. Now, we should not forget that state is an outcome of history, and since time immemorials, always state wanted to overpower citizens, and it happens to be brutal. Though by coming of democracy, those brutalities have been buried, but epidemic gives an excellent excuse to bring the real nature of the state. And silencing of media, judiciary, civil societies and human rights, it is the first step in order to gain the real nature of state that was brutal and nasty. Guys, it is a high time that the citizens, civil societies, judiciary, media, they should stand for the democratic rights which have been won over the centuries, and any kind of trade-off is not allowed in a democracy. So in the name of preserving law and order, rights should not be disregarded. So guys, this was all about this article. Now we'll move to the next article. Guys, this article explores as how the problem of inequality will be aggravated due to COVID-19 and what possible steps could be taken by the government. Guys, certain concepts given here could be important for your prelims, as well as they can be used in examples into the GS paper number 3 mains. Let's start with the article. So guys, as lockdown is proceeding, economic miseries are becoming more visible. Now, if we take the income estimation of the population on the basis of poverty line given by World Bank, then a large number of population is living below the poverty and they are earning just enough money to survive. Now, as a 21-day lockdown has been imposed, there will be substantial loss of wages, and during this time, nearly 47% of the bottom line will be having no cash by the time lockdown will be over. It means 500 million people in India will be left without any cash, and next 500 million people will be having half of the money that they were having earlier. Now guys, this problem is that much aggravated because of huge inequality in India. Inherently, very less people hold a large amount of money. Guys, the data have been taken from the time of demonetization into this editorial, and it says that at the time of demonetization, top 1% people in India held 62% of all the currency, and if we take top 0.1% people, they held 33% of the total currency. Now this inequality will become even more aggravated when lockdown will be over. Why? Because the people who had money, they can start their life again, but the people who had little money, they need to start from the zero. Now guys, if you will allow to give me one point apart from this editorial, then the Amartya Sen says that the poverty is a denial of justice, because when a person is poor, he cannot negotiate his freedom, he cannot negotiate for the rights, and the same thing is happening with the migrants who are flocking back to their houses. Now, as we are talking about the inequality in India, there are certain indicators by which we can show the cash inequality. Guys, just please remember their name. It will do the trick in your exam. First is the Pareto interpolation technique. Now guys, Pareto principle happens to be a very prominent principle in our life also. This principle says that 80% wealth of the countries as well as into the world is held by 20% of the people. So on the basis of this Pareto principle, a Pareto interpolation technique has been found which measures inequality. Then we come to the Gini coefficient. Now this one is more important because a lot of inequality reports are based on the basis of Gini coefficient. Now friends, Gini coefficient is derived from the Lorenz curve, and now in Lorenz curve we take a line of equality which happens to be drawn on 45 degree. Now below this Lorenz curve has been made, and it denotes as how much percent of people is having how much percentage of money. Now the Gini coefficient has a value which ranges from 0 to 1. 0 denotes perfect equality, whereas 1 denotes perfect inequality. So higher will be a digit for Gini coefficient, higher will be the inequality. When we talk about India, it is 0.71, which shows that India is a highly unequal type of country. Guys, after this, next is the Atkinson Index. Now, it is a welfarist approach which measures that how much percentage of income has to be given in a society in order to achieve more equitable distribution of income. So, it shows as how much willing a society is in order to achieve more equality. Now, with respect to India, the value is 0.624, which is not very good. Then the next is generalized entropy index, where the value hovers between 0 to infinity, and 0 indicates perfect equality, whereas infinity equates perfect inequality. Here also India scores 3.108, which is actually not very good. Now guys, all these indicators indicate that India is highly unequal society where cash holding is there more with the upper strata of population. And when we measure these kind of inequalities, it is pronounced at the state level, at the level of individuals, and moreover at the level of districts, where top 10% districts are having 764 times more cash than the bottom 10 districts. So this is the extent of inequality. Moreover, within the district also this inequality has been segregated into the packets. Now guys, there is a thumb rule of welfare economics that whenever an economic crisis will be coming into a unequal society, more sufferings and miseries will be caused for the poorer people. So here the article suggests that we need to remonetize India in order to remove the sufferings. Now guys, when the lockdown will be lifted, 1.3 billion people, either they will be having no cash or very less cash. At the same time, a large amount of population is into the informal economy, which have very less bargaining power. Moreover guys, at this particular time, if we see the condition of corporates, it will also not be good, because 50% of the people, they simply don't have any money for the consumption expenditure. So at this particular time, government needs to pump money into economy. Though government has given a relief package of 1.7 crore, but it is very less for countries such as India. For example, 20 rupees hike has been given for MG Narega. 1500 rupees over 3 months will be given under the Jan Dhan Yojana. Now, we need much more than that. According to Editorial, nearly 2.5 lakh rupees cash transfers are needed to be done so that money goes to the people and some relief can be gained. Now guys, if this is not done, then India might fall into a kind of income trap where the real wages will diminish because the people will be working more hours in order to gain their lost wages. And guys, at the same time, the people who were rich, they might not be facing that kind of problem and the gap will rise. So inequality will come, which obviously was there earlier also, and it will drive more inequality. Then it will drive more inequality. Then again more inequality will come. So now this is a high time that government should remonetize so that enough money goes to the people. They raise their demand, and with that the economy should be kick-started. Moreover, at this particular point of time, government should not look with the cashless transfers, because bulk of population depends on physical cash, and therefore as early as possible this thing should be done. Now guys, out of this 2.5 lakh crore transfer, nearly 1.34 lakh crore will go to the poorest 500 million Indians, where the remaining amount will be given to the people to compensate for the starvation of cash that they had faced. So guys, this was all about this article. Now we'll move to the next article. Guys, the next article talks about preparing for a reboot of SARC, that could be SARC 2.0. Now guys, SARC is an important intergovernmental body which aims to foster cooperation among the South Asian countries. First of all, certain basics. SARC has 8 member nations, which happens to be the neighbor of India, and the secretariat is located at Kathmandu, Nepal. Now guys, from some time SARC has been very much docile and no active participation is coming into the SARC, particularly after the attack on Uri in 2016. Now recently, the Prime Minister had taken a notable initiative, particularly after the outbreak of coronavirus, as a virtual summit of SARC has taken place, where Prime Minister had given a call that the all countries should come together into the times of crisis and should stand for the fight against the COVID-19. Now guys, at this video conference, all the head of the state were present except the state of Pakistan, Now friends, at the conference, all countries have committed to give a united front in this crisis, and an emergency fund has also been created which could be utilized to meet the common needs, where all the countries had given certain generous contributions except the state of Pakistan, and the most notable contribution has been given by India to the tune of $10 million. Here guys, India is fulfilling the role of a responsible neighbor and coming to aid its neighbor in the time of problems. Moreover, apart from the virtual summit, a video conference of health official has also been arranged where the officials have exchanged the credible information with respect to containment of the virus. Moreover, through informal means as well as through other means, workable cooperation is also being explored. Right now, the editorial suggests that the opportunity is ripe where we can explore to give a second life to the SARC, especially when the SARC has nearly been forgotten and its purpose are becoming more and more blurred. Here, SARC could return to a future, but India needs to be very much clear in this pursuit. India has always been struck in a dilemma where it shows cooperation for one organization but works actively for the other organization. The same thing has happening into the context of SARC also, because India is promoting SARC at one hand, but on the other hand is pressing the participant countries to join the cooperation of BIMSTEC. When asked about the stand of India, India says that our stated objective is to promote the cooperation and connectivity into the region. However, a call is needed to be made as what is the active stand of India, and at this particular crisis, if a call has been taken in the favor of SARC, then a new journey as SARC 2.0 can become where SARC could actually play a role of constructive organization. So guys, this is all about this particular article. Now we'll move to the next article. Guys, the next article has been taken from the Indian Express, which is exploring India's stake with respect to export of hydroxychloroquine. Guys, with this article, I had clubbed two articles, one from the international page of today's Hindu paper and other from the web edition of the Hindu, which is not there into the e-paper. Might be you will be seeing it tomorrow. Guys, one more thing. A lot of articles are coming onto the farm crisis. Now, we had covered this particular thing very much exhaustively into the newspaper of 30th of March, where I had compiled 3 editorials from Hindu as well as Indian Express, which gives a holistic picture on this front. Moreover, into the yesterday's paper of 6th April, also I had discussed the holistic picture of farm crisis which has been happening. Friends, if you have time, you can refer to these articles, will be helpful for your exam. Now friends, this is a proud moment for India where all the countries are looking forward to India to supply the drugs. Now, as we know, all the countries are searching the cure of COVID-19. WHO has started a solidarity project where the already existing drugs will be used to see their efficacy on COVID-19. So here, there have been 4 drugs which are identified. First is remdesivir, which is used to treat Ebola virus. It inhibits the replication of virus in the body. Other is chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine, which treats malaria. Third is ritonavir and lopinavir, which treats HIV. And the third is interferon beta, which is an anti-inflammatory drug, which is used in combination of these 2 drugs. So the communities, they are looking to their efficacy. And what has happened? The hydroxychloroquine is found to be very much effective into the treatment. And now India happens to be the manufacturer of this drug. Moreover, apart from malaria, hydroxychloroquine also treats arthritis, other ailments. And now all the countries are looking forward that India should supply hydroxychloroquine, which has been banned right now. Now, in India, we had banned this drug because ICMR recommends this as a kind of a preventive drug for the health professional who are dealing with the COVID-19 patients, and it has been proved effective there. And guys, as more research and data is emerging, the countries are finding hydroxychloroquine to be more and more effective. The Chinese research suggests that it is very much helpful for the patient who develops pneumonia due to COVID-19, and the studies in France and as well as in America also supports this claim. Now USA had also started recommending it in emergency situation, and as we know that USA is having very high number of COVID-19 cases, it wants that India should supply the drug to USA. Moreover, USA had also made hydroxychloroquine as a part of their strategic national stockpile, which means that the drug is very much important for their health needs. Now, guys, as India had banned the export, the US wants it to be revoked. Moreover, the Brazilian president has also joined the request and limited quantities should be supplied. Now, in this response, India had not given an official response but had said that they will consider the lifting of export on case by case basis. Moreover, guys, as the essential ingredients are coming from China, the supply of the raw material is restricted, due to which India might also be having a limited stock of hydroxychloroquine. Therefore, India is not able to comment at the present moment. So guys, this was all about the present article. Now we'll move to the next. Now guys, the next news item comes from page number 10. Now, Supreme Court has taken a recourse towards the video conferencing, and now the Supreme Court has clarified that video conferencing is not infringing the right to get justice. Supreme Court has said that we had shifted our route from physical to virtual medium, and for this particular thing they had used their power given under article number 142, under which Supreme Court can give directives in order to ensure complete justice. Supreme Court says, as epidemic of COVID-19 wants social distancing, so at this particular time calling a physical congregation will be not desirable nor needed. Therefore, by video conferencing, they will continue their activities and the videotapes will be made available to litigants. In this direction, the rules have been framed and the same has also been conveyed to the high courts, and the helplines should also be established as how this entire process can be done in an easier manner. Guys, after this, the next news item states that smart cities command centers have been turned into war rooms in order to have a better insight on COVID-19. So now guys, Government of India started Smart City project, under which 100 smart cities were identified. Here, the grant was given by the center as well as the money was to be pooled by the state also by their own resources. Now, as these smart cities have been made, they have integrated command and control center which have all the electronic connections with respect to CCTVs. They have a mechanism for traffic monitoring. They have mechanism with respect to the real-time information of the city. Now, these integrated centralized command centers are being used to track the spread of COVID-19. Heat maps are being drawn in order to contain the pandemic. Moreover, the movement of ambulance, movement of traffic and the movement of health personnel are also being monitored through these integrated control centers. Moreover, guys, these centers are also being used for the virtual training of the health professionals. So guys, this can be an example of efficient use of resource and can be used as an example in your GS paper number 3. So guys, this was all about today's news articles.